Welcome back to the Bitcoin Zodiac. Happy solar eclipse. Happy new moon in Virgo. Um, for those of you that are new here and are just joining us here at the Bitcoin Zodiac, we analyze the evolution of Bitcoin through the lens of financial astrology. For those of you that have been here a while, you are used to me doing videos every new moon and every full moon. And I'm going to be changing that up a little bit, and I'm going to be doing them on a weekly basis and releasing them every Tuesday. And so I'm doing Tuesday to Tuesday analysis. And I'm just doing that really for admin purposes. It's a lot easier for my editors, for myself. I have specific days that I'm recording and that they're editing, and we release them rather than working around the moon cycles. So we are just shifting that up. And it also means that I'm doing the videos more regularly, so they're kind of will be shorter and just more information as per what we can expect for that week. So it'll be interesting to see how I sort of shift that in regards to the personal kind of astrology. I'll maybe do them as separate videos and see how we move forward with that. Let me know your feedback for sure. And but let's get into this solar eclipse and new moon near the South Node, 29 degrees of Virgo. So this new moon and solar eclipse is aligned so closely with the South Node that it's not just another new moon. It's not even just another eclipse. It really is like a karmic reset. It's this cosmic unraveling kind of at the edge of endings and just on the edge of beginnings. And so Virgo at the anaretic degree, the final degree of Virgo, invites us into this liminal space between cycles. So it's where discernment meets surrender. It's where the work of like refining, of healing, of purifying is really brought to a culmination. The veil is very thin. It almost feels kind of otherworldly. And the South Node connection also makes this eclipse less about what we are moving toward and more about what we are ready to release. So we're also here at the autumn equinox as well. So we've got a lot of sort of that veil thinning energy. The veil between the spirit realm and the physical realm, the material realm, is almost blurred or almost non-existent, and they almost feel like one. So, yeah, as I said, feels kind of dreamy, um, and very clear on discernment and downloads and intuition. You'll really be feeling that strongly through this period as well. So, definitely aligned to that. Eclipses by the South Node carry this energy of karmic clearing. They really illuminate patterns that we've outgrown, habits that once served us but now limit us, and just ways of being that are rooted in fear or control. So Virgo shadowed can definitely cling to perfectionism, to criticism, and just really to like that energy of endless analysis. So this eclipse just asked us to soften those edges and just to let go of the need to constantly fix ourselves or fix the world, and instead just sort of trust the larger flow of life, the ebb and flow of cosmic cycles, and that have existed since time began, really. Just think of this as kind of a cosmic detox, not just for the body for sure, but definitely for the mind and for the spirit. So just old stories, expect this actually, like expect old stories to kind of come up to the surface ready to be released. And that's a sign. Like if things are coming up that you just feel old, feel outdated, feel something that you've already resolved, all that's happening is just it's coming up for you to just like very consciously release it. So any outdated belief systems that are ready to be dissolved, any perfectionist kind of scripts that are handed down through generations. They're ready to unravel in the light of this moment. Because it is a new moon, there also is this sort of whisper of new beginnings. But the reality is that with the South Node here, it's like the soil needs to be cleared first. I just got back from Hokkaido, and all of the like root vegetables, some of the root vegetables are being harvested, the carrots, the potatoes, the sweet potatoes, the daikons, and they leave some of them there to be create like this compost and fertilizer of the soil. So that's kind of like what's happening. Be prepared for a few farming analogies maybe this video, but that's really what's happening as well. So first, something must first be composted before the fresh seed can take root. So this is really an invitation to consciously let go, leave behind those things that you're ready to leave in the compost, so that what emerges from this threshold is really aligned with your true path. So it's not the path carved by old conditioning at all. It's something very fresh and very new. And this is just a moment of humility, a very quiet ritual, and just a bowing to the cycles that are bigger than us. And it really is just a chance to reset the nervous system, to declutter our inner world, and to create space for more compassion for ourselves and for others. So really trust that what falls away under this eclipse is making room for your healing. So trust that Virgo's medicine, when freed from control, really becomes devotion. So it's a sacred offering of your presence to this moment. So I would definitely encourage journaling through this time, just journaling on like what habits or patterns do I cling to out of fear and not out of love? And what am I trying to perfect instead of allowing myself to be human? What is ready to be composted in my life so that something new can bloom, something can blossom? So, what does this solar eclipse and new moon have in store for Bitcoin? As always, a new moon is about fresh starts. It's about planting seeds. It's the beginning of a new cycle. And then we have the solar eclipse, which really is a supercharged new moon, often making room for major turning points, for sudden shifts, and certainly for revelations. So we have the South Node as well, which is about past patterns, karmic residue, what needs to be released, what old habits no longer serve us, what old systems no longer serve us, what old ways of doing things no longer serve us collectively. So that's definitely on the table for this period of time. And then we have 29 degrees of Virgo, which is the anaretic degree, the final degree of Virgo, which is about endings, urgency, karmic closure, and really an emphasis on refinement and completion. So this combination kind of signals a bit of a reset point of markets shedding outdated systems, habits, or illusions before new structure can really emerge. This is definitely also a point for generally in the markets is there'll be an exposure of weak systems. So Virgo really rules detail and analysis, accounting, service, and efficiency. So this eclipse may reveal flaws in financial reporting, accounting practices, or systemic inefficiencies. So possible corrections of if there are hidden risks, debt burdens, regulatory gaps, supply chain flaws, banking systems, they're all likely to be exposed at this time. Definitely a shift away from overanalysis. So people may grow impatient with the endless metrics and instead just seek assets with like clear, simple value, like Bitcoin or gold. And really companies built on like over complex structures may lose confidence, while those with very straightforward fundamentals are likely to gain traction at this time. Eclipses definitely bring unexpected. So markets may swing sharply, quick drops, rebounds, or sector rotations. So as I said previously in the personal astrology, think of it as like a karmic rebalancing. So capital flowing out of overhyped sectors into more practical or resilient ones. I'm briefly interrupting this episode to speak to you about one of our partners, Ritual Supplements, and in particular, Ritual Stress Relief. It's the first of its kind supplement powered by Bioseries technology. Unlike typical stress supplements that fade, Ritual's dual action formula gives you instant calm followed by all-day support. It works with your body's natural cortisol rhythm, helping you respond instead of react, ground instead of spiral. Its unique extended release blend delivers nature's calming adaptogens like ashwagandha and lemon balm when your body actually needs them. That means no crash, no fog, just clarity, focus, and nervous system balance. It's a sigh of relief that keeps going. So if you have spikes in your stress levels or are simply feeling dysregulated, give Ritual Stress Relief a try. Click on the link in the description box to find your perfect daily ritual. Okay, now that we found our Zen, let's get back to the show. So this eclipse at 29 degrees Virgo conjuncts Bitcoin's natal Saturn. And so that's testing its structural integrity. So there is a lot going on in the behind the scenes in the Bitcoin community. There's been this kind of push and pull, tug of war between the Bitcoin core developers and the NOTS nodes. So there's definitely things going on in that section as well, really testing its structural integrity and drawing lines in the sand of how we're going to move forward. So it also activates Saturn, the Saturn-Uranus opposition, which is like pressure between old systems and disruptive technologies like Bitcoin. So the 29-degree connection also resonates with Bitcoin's natal Jupiter, which just indicates future expansion potential after a kind of restructuring. So I think that we will come through this in a positive way. So there could be also during this period of time a purging of weak hands and also a purging of unsustainable practices. So the South Node energy really suggests this release of maybe speculative excess, scams, over leveraged positions, and just ways of doing things that are not going to function moving forward. So short-term corrections could shake out weak hands before stronger support really builds. So it is also a symbol of the path towards maturity. It's releasing things we've outgrown. So this eclipse emphasizes structure of Saturn and the refinement of Virgo. So Bitcoin's role may evolve further toward being just the more stable store of value, digital gold in the world, rather than a speculative play. And I think that this cycle has been a bridge towards that, stepping stones towards that. So it's a maturation that may reduce like wild speculative bubbles, but also increase like credibility and stability long term. So the eclipse could mark this maturity, be a mark of a maturity milestone, with Bitcoin, as I said, becoming less speculative and more widely respected as an asset class. And I think the atmosphere is more towards that, much more this cycle than it has been in previous cycles. So price growth will continue, but just in a steadier, more institutionalized way. So the new moon and solar eclipse at 29 degrees Virgo conjunct the South Node really marks this financial detox moment. So outdated systems, habits, and illusions in both traditional markets and crypto are being cleared. So for Bitcoin, this eclipse activates its structural Saturn and expansive Jupiter, suggesting a period of short-term turbulence, but also long-term strengthening. So expect some volatility, of course, it's an eclipse, but and possible corrections, and maybe the usual kind of regulatory pressures or strange narratives coming to the surface, but also a step towards institutional maturity and global credibility. So on the 22nd of September, we have Mars entering Scorpio. And so Mars is this energy this drive, this aggression, action, risk-taking, courage, and even conflict. And then we have Scorpio, which is about depth and transformation, hidden wealth, collective resources, power struggles, secrecy, and intensity. So when Mars enters Scorpio, one of its home signs, along with Aries, it becomes really powerful and focused, very strategic, relentless, and unafraid of confrontation. So markets could become more intense, more volatile, and much more strategic. So definitely also themes of hidden money, of debt, taxes, power struggles, and financial transformation. These are all narratives that rise to the surface during this period of time. Risk appetite definitely grows, but with like all or nothing tendencies. So people may either go deep into conviction or pull out entirely. So it's a bit of a balancing act in that respect. Mars in Scorpio also intensifies market sentiment, so expect sharp moves both upward and downward. And traders may also take larger, riskier bets, just fueling spikes in volume and price swings. So Scorpio governs shared resources, banks, debt markets, taxations, and shadow systems of wealth. So issues related to sovereign debt, hidden risks in banking, or tax regulations may come to the surface. And this can definitely create pressure in equity and bond markets if weaknesses are revealed. I feel like they've been revealing for quite some time, actually, but maybe that intensifies this week. So we also have power struggles and control battles are definitely a theme under this aspect. And so governments, regulators, and financial institutions may attempt to assert dominance. So potential for new policies regarding hidden wealth, like crypto or offshore bank accounts, tax havens, and things like that, that's definitely going to come to the forefront. So there are definitely opportunities for strategic plays as Mars in Scorpio isn't impulsive like Aries, it's much more calculated. So markets reward those who plan carefully, hedge properly, and think long term rather than chasing quick wins. Now, with Mars in Scorpio, there is some symbolic resonance with Bitcoin because Scorpio is hidden transformative wealth, which perfectly describes Bitcoin's role as an alternative financial system outside of the traditional control. And then we have Mars, which is drive, risk, and confrontation. And that intensifies both Bitcoin's adoption by those that are really seeking freedom and also resistance from people that are likely to lose if people have more freedom. So institutions and governments don't love people having more freedom. They want more control. So we could definitely see regulatory moves surfacing around, again, crypto, a lot to do under the guise of AML, so anti-money laundering or cross-border flows, those sorts of things. And they could definitely create some short-term fear in the markets and drive some volatility as well. So there may be people on one side of it that are like, hey, I want to get out of that control. This isn't going to be getting any better and drives them more into things like Bitcoin. Or there are people that are like, it's getting more and more difficult. So they pull out of Bitcoin. Power plays between institutions and independent finance. And Bitcoin may face some scrutiny, but also attract inflows, as I said, from those that are seeking more financial privacy and more independence. So expect some sharper spikes in both directions. Bitcoin is likely to surge on strong demand from those seeking financial sovereignty, but dips may also come from regulatory fear as well. So traders also may aggressively play both sides of that, just increasing their leverage and liquidation risk. But from a long-term evolutionary perspective, it really is another one of these signs that is strength through pressure. So Mars and Scorpio ultimately empowers what can survive this kind of intensity. So Bitcoin being anti-fragile, can definitely emerge stronger from battles with regulators or, demonizing narratives and things like that that really sort of prove resilience. And if Bitcoin weathers these challenges, which it always has in the past, of course, it may establish a new higher baseline of legitimacy. So this period may mark another kind of baptism by fire, really accelerating Bitcoin's transformation, again, from this sort of speculative side of things towards a more recognized store of value and key player within the global financial system, which it already is, but oftentimes those narratives don't match its positioning in truth. So when Mars enters Scorpio, the financial world shifts into intensity mode. So definitely volatility rises, hidden truths around debt and shadow finance surface, and power struggles dominate the headlines. So there's a lot of narratives around at the moment as well about Trump possibly using stable coins and crypto to revalue and rebalance America's debt. So those narratives I expect to continue under aspects like this as well. For Bitcoin, this is both a test and an opportunity. Short term might be a little bumpy. Again, regulatory pressure may arise, but so will adoption among those that are seeking alternatives. And I've kind of always said that, been saying it publicly since the beginning of this podcast several years ago, that I kind of always think that the major sort of part of adoption for people with Bitcoin is less out of, happiness, interest, excitement, and fascination about the future, and more from a place of pain. And, that sounds awful to say, but I do think that that is what pushes people into Bitcoin, is that the current system is tightening and tightening and tightening. Governments are wanting more and more control, more and more tax, and it's just becoming unworkable. And that kind of pushes people more and more into Bitcoin. So I can definitely see that happening, and the astrology is showing us that as well. So long term, Bitcoin goes stronger by surviving these kind of power battles, reinforcing its role as a transformational financial force. So just it really is that constant advice that I feel like I give in these videos of staying disciplined, avoiding reckless risk, sticking to what you know, sticking to fundamentals, not getting sidetracked and distracted by all of these things that are designed to keep your value in the current system, even if they say that they're like in the name of Bitcoin. And avoid reckless risk, like with, view shakeouts as like strategic opportunities. If you really believe in Bitcoin's future. So Mars and Scorpio really favors the strong, the patient, and the deeply committed. I'm pausing this episode for just a moment to share with you one of our partners, the Sculpt Society. I'm obsessed with TSS, created by celebrity trainer Megan Roop. It's not just another fitness app, it's the most fun you'll ever have working out. You'll find sculpt, strength, and dance cardio all in one super accessible method that actually works. Whether you have 10 minutes or 50, want low impact sculpting or full body dance cardio, the Sculpt Society has you covered. Inside the app, you'll find over 900 on-demand workouts and weekly live classes, plus curated programs that meet you wherever you are, beginner, advanced, or even pre or postnatal. There's no complicated choreography, no guilt, just movement that makes you feel confident and strong in your own skin. You can stream from any device, anywhere in the world, and even download classes to work out offline. It doesn't matter whether you're in your living room or in a hotel room. So if you've been waiting for a sign to get back into your body and feel good, this is it. Click on the link in the description box and join the Sculpt Society to start your 7-day free trial today. You'll feel the difference after just one class. Let's get back into the episode. On September 24th, we have Mars square Pluto in retrograde. So Mars in Scorpio is this fierce, strategic, relentless drive, this all or nothing energy, intense focus on resources and debt and taxes and hidden wealth, as we said. Then we have Pluto in retrograde in Aquarius, which is about deep transformation of collective systems, technology, decentralization, and power structures. So the retrograde motion internalizes this energy. So there's hidden tensions, as I discussed, core developers and NOTS nodes. Unresolved control struggles, again, the same, I think that's speaking to the same issue, and a restructuring of collective financing technology. And when you have a square aspect, it's a 90-degree aspect, so it causes tension and conflict and crisis forcing action. So it's definitely not harmonious, and it manifests in power struggles, in confrontations, and sudden upheavals. So this is really a clash of power and control in financial and technological systems. Again, this brings governments, central banks, and regulatory bodies to the forefront with Pluto and Aquarius. And this may clash with private wealth, hedge funds, or decentralized finance in many aspects, whether it's crypto, whether it's privacy coins, whether it's Bitcoin itself. And that's that Mars and Scorpio aspect. So expect headlines around stricter regulation, even if it's unrealistic in practice. Taxation out of desperation, in my opinion. And definitely like crypto crackdowns, these kind of narratives, or debt restructuring as well. So we're going to hear a lot about those kinds of things. The Mars-Pluto square historically do coincide with spikes in volatility. So financial markets could definitely see sell-offs followed by sharp rebounds as power dynamics play out. There's also this exposure of hidden weaknesses, which is definitely a theme running through this week. So the Scorpio energy digs into shadow finance, hidden leverage, debt bubbles, fraud, or systemic imbalances like, undisclosed, unrealized loss in the banking systems. These may all be disclosed during this time. So Aquarius also highlights technology and collective structures. So issues with tech, stocks, AI, blockchain, or digital finance could definitely surface. There's also a shift in investor psychology. So fear and greed both intensify under this aspect and the previous aspect. And so traders may very much overreact to news with really making risk management at this period of time very much essential. Mars and Scorpio, as I said, is aggressive moves in hidden wealth, alternative finance, and transformation of value systems, which is very much aligned with Bitcoin. And then Pluto and Aquarius is this deep restructuring of global financial technologies, blockchain, digital currencies, AI-driven finance, and of course, the king of them all, which is Bitcoin. So together, Bitcoin sits right in this tension point, decentralization versus control. So governments may attempt to tighten control over crypto with Pluto and Aquarius. It's a state power over digital networks. And we've already had the Genius Act passed in the States, and we're also getting to the point where Europe is about to roll out their CBDC as well. There's talks of Australia having a CBDC, all of these different countries. So this is kind of what we're expecting at this time. Expect sudden surges as well on adoption or capital flight into Bitcoin, also followed by equally sharp corrections. So on kind of like regulatory crackdowns or systemic fear. Liquidation and leverage wipeouts could occur as traders overextend in this very volatile environment. But this long-term evolution, this transit could mark, again, a turning point in Bitcoin's maturation. So if Bitcoin survives this clash, it emerges stronger as a recognized force in digital finance. It's very much part of the ongoing Pluto and Aquarius revolution of money. And so think of this as like a battle scar moment. So maybe some short-term chaos, but long-term resilience. So Mars square Pluto in retrograde really marks a period of intense financial power struggles, volatility, and transformation. So for financial markets, just expect shocks around debt, regulation, and technology, and weaknesses in shadow systems to be exposed. So for Bitcoin, this is a sort of defining confrontation. It's like regulators or systems of control versus decentralization. So short-term turbulence is almost guaranteed, but long-term resilience is likely to be strengthened. So just manage risk really tightly and don't chase headlines, and view this period as a strategic reset. So long-term Bitcoin's role in the new financial order is likely to be solidified by surviving this clash.